Good morning. Time to continue through a treasury of Christmas carols. I'm honestly looking forward to being done with this book. I don't end up loving most of these. I'm ready to read something else. And it's another one that I don't know. I probably should though. It's Bach. Joyful sing ye Christian people. Who knows? I'll probably end up recognizing the melody. Man, my brain is not ready to go this morning. There's a huge amount of hand splitting where the tenor and bass are not within reach of each other. It's very frustrating. It's a nice line. Oh my god, this is a little much for first thing in the morning. Maybe not the first thing I should read. Okay, now we're getting into trouble. I like how they have a little ossia there, though. This is nice because the lines are so clearly distinct here, the bass and the tenor, that I can grab the tenor very easily with my right hand, and then the bass line gets voiced differently. So, okay. Okay, that's a little bit of a mindfuck. Carry things across the bar. Okay. It's funny because, like, I read a lot of this I spent a lot of time reading this stuff on organ. And I still have trouble doing the tenor in one hand thing because it's so rare that, I play piano mostly, so it's less common for me to play tenor as sort of a single melodic line with my left hand. And I found that when I was doing a lot of organ fingering choices in my left hand, reading the tenor not as like basically the thumb of my left hand was a bit of a problem. But it's so much easier because you're never dealing with these reach things. So reading this on organ in a lot of ways would be a lot easier. Yes, the bass line is pretty involved in the feet here. It's a pretty motile bass line, but not having to constantly switch voices between two hands is helpful. It's definitely a weakness of mine. I should probably work on it. Who knows? I'm not a huge fan of the Bach harmonized chorales for that reason exactly, and also because there's huge distance between the soprano and alto quite often, which makes those almost unreadable. um, but who knows? I don't think they're the best sight reading, but I might read through those on piano, or maybe try a variation because the voices are so clearly distinct there. You could make an exercise out of reading just tenor, soprano, and alto, or just SA, bass, that kind of thing. Anyway, let's read this again. See, right there, I need to essentially switch. I had started playing that C in the tenor on the second system with my left thumb, and then basically I need to switch it to my right thumb. I hate that when it's the same note and I'm just switching hands. And it's only for that. I mean, I could have reached that ninth, but I don't know. Well, the second reading's going better, but not great. Really do appreciate that. As much as I bitch about the editorial here sometimes, I like that. Because obviously, if I was playing that on organ, it'd be very easy for me to get that bass line all the way from the bottom. But this is one of those instances that I talk about. This happens a lot in the Bach harmonized chorales. Look, this is a great example. There's no way to reach from the E up to the B, and then the soprano and alto are already pretty far apart. So there's no way to reach from this B up to this E. The distance is 3 octaves across all the voices, and so there's just no way to fit that in 2 hands in any way. And the thing is, the rolling's just not going to work. That's just terrible. That's very unmusical. There's just no way to make that a musical line. It sounds horrendous. So if you're reading those Bach harmonized chorales, you just have to leave something out, and that sucks. Or you can do the octave transposition. This is a better and easier problem to solve because obviously you can just transpose the octaves, but often it's not a linear walking bass line like this. It's usually a very motile tenor part where there's moving parts that are actually affecting the chord qualities in the middle of all this, and that's a problem. Revoicing it on the fly is not a thing. Okay. Get ramp mode off and start reading again. This reach is awkward. That's a really awkward reach. And then the alto has to move. It would really do me good probably to read This could be, this would be a good thing to use the Bach harmonics crowds for. I had been doing some of this, obviously reading SAT just so that I can get better at my left hand tenor, or even just reading through the book just tenor. But also, I think maybe just bass. Essentially, reading moving melodic-ish things in my left hand, because that really is a weakness. When there's a lot of movement there, I really have trouble making good fingering choices. I'm so much better at very accompanimental figures. All right, one more time. Actually working on my scales and thirds because of situations like this. I run into that a lot, and I am very weak at it. I do talk about that, reading the tenor and bass lines alone. In that hand. The problem ends up being it's a bandwidth issue where I'm not terrible once it's separated. That makes me think when I was spending a lot of time doing pedal work alone on organ, it's amazing how I can come up with good footing choices as long as I don't have anything else going on. As soon as you introduce something else, it's too much to process simultaneously, and you start making poor choices. Because even though figuring out the top parts isn't difficult, trying to do them all simultaneously is really difficult. As is speaking while reading this. But to some degree, that's probably useful. My brain. I cannot carry things across a bar to save my life. Okay, I'm gonna be done with that one. That was bad.